Welcome to the DreamWork Summit, where DreamWork experts, renowned psychology professionals, and brilliant authors will help you tap into the soul-guided healing wisdom and creativity within your dreams. Share this event with your friends and family, and come join us on Facebook at the Shift Network. And now your host, Kimberly Mascaro, PhD.
Welcome, everyone. We are so glad that you're joining us. I'm very excited to introduce our special guest today, Jane Carleton. Jane Carleton is a dream teacher and intuitive advisor, holding 2 graduate degrees in the fields of dream studies and consciousness and transformative studies. She has taught graduate courses on dreams at the California Institute of Integral Studies and is also a professional gemologist or jewelry appraiser with a special interest in the appearance of all kinds of gems in dreams, both literally and figuratively. Welcome, Jane. It's so good to have you here today.
Hi, Kim. I'm happy to see you. This is great.
So glad you're with us. And I think it's so cool that you have friends that call you a dream appraiser. And could you tell us a little more about that?
Well, my good friend Walter Berry coined that term, and I really love it. So gems speak a symbolic language, and so do dreams. And I look for the gems in my dreams and in my clients' dreams, and I look for the dream in a gem. And they seem to weave together really beautifully. I enter the inner world of a gem with a microscope, and when I'm looking inside a gem, I see a universe in there, which gives me information about the formation of the gem, the origin of the gem, the qualities of the stone, and the value of the gem. So when I look at the meaning, I look for the meaning and the beauty in the gem or item of jewelry also. So there are many facets of that gem, and including how it bends the light rays. And each of those facets has a different angle. So as a dream worker, I enter into the dream with an eye for the same things, for the hidden opportunities, for the beauty, for the healing moments, for the inspiration. And they both require attention to fine detail. So they actually are very similar in many ways. And my goal is to be alert for the opportunity for healing for my clients, both for my appraisal work and for my dream work. And, a client's jewelry is a sacred object, and it becomes particularly important to be aware of this when I'm working with clients who have inherited jewelry from their beloved loved one. And it's a sacred space to hold for that jewelry. And this is the same thing that we do with dreams. We hold that sacred space. So we have the appearance of gems, talismans, jewelry, sacred objects that show up in our dreams. They also are in our waking lives. And so how do we weave those two together? And then metaphorically, of course, dreams themselves are gems.
I love how you bring the two together. I mean, you are a true dream appraiser. What are some ways then that we can work with images of gems or jewels, even jewelry, minerals, or let's say even talismans in dreams?
Well, there really are a variety of ways. So I'm going to give some examples, and then I'm going to give some stories from either my life or my clients. So one of the things that people ask me when they hear I'm a gemologist is, which crystals, which jewels should I use? Which ones are good for me for healing? And my answer to that is what's showing up in your dream. Do you see the presence of a certain kind of stone that shows up in your dreams? That's going to be a clue. We're always looking for clues. So recently I met a lovely woman who shared with me that she has had some health challenges. And she had a dream that in the dream, she got the information that she needed to have a yellow sapphire to help her with her healing. That was the dream. She said she woke up and she said, I didn't even know that there's such a thing as yellow sapphires. Well, it turns out that she did go to an Ayurvedic healer. And in Ayurvedic medicine, unheated natural yellow and blue sapphires, amethyst, etc., are utilized for healing as healing stones. So she showed me a lovely ring that she had custom made with this yellow sapphire that first showed up in the dream, and then showed up in waking life. And this is a great example of how you can take action in something that shows up in your dream. You can take action in your waking life, and you can bring it into your waking life. And not only, I don't know if the yellow sapphire helps with healing. I don't know, but I do know that every time, if it were my dream and my ring, every time I look at that, I'm going to remember my intention of healing. So this is a great way to look for the gems, crystals, whatever that might come through in your dreams, telling you it may want to come into your life. And then there are also times where we will have gems or jewelry or objects that it's really time to let go of. So I have a great story of I had a dream one early morning, and in my dream I'm in Las Vegas, and it's kind of a not such a great dream. It's kind of icky, this Las Vegas dream, right? And in the morning, my first client of the day for appraisal work was a woman who had inherited about 20 years ago jewelry from a family member who was kind of not a close family member, but he lived in Las Vegas. And it turns out that this particular person was actually very intimately involved with the mafia in Las Vegas in the 60s. So she had all this jewelry, and she said she inherited it, and she said it kind of gave her the creeps, and she had it in her safety deposit box, and then she finally decided it was time to do something with it. And she wanted to sell the jewelry, but then she also felt kind of guilty for letting it go, for not holding on to this on behalf of the family, which many people feel that. But there really are times to let things go. And in this case, it was a fun dream for me because it alerted me to this client coming in with this jewelry, but also it alerted me to the opportunity to do a little dream work with her on the spot and really help her feel into, does this really make you feel good? Is this really what you want to have? Or has this become a burden for you? And she decided to sell the jewelry. There's an alchemical piece to this too. We talk about the gold in alchemy, and most of this jewelry was gold jewelry. And so this jewelry would end up being sent to a refiner and melted down, and the fires of the refinery would take that gold and it would purify it and then move it on so somebody else can have a pure piece of gold for their story. Another story, I have a client that I've worked long-term with, and there were challenging experiences in her life around her father. And in the course of the time that we worked together, her father passed, and she inherited a ring from him. The timing was actually really perfect because right at this time she had a big dream, a culmination dream in her healing that gave her a lot of insights about how she needed to look at the illusion of the father she wished she had had and the father that she really had. And so she brought the ring to me for me to appraise it, see what the value is. She was thinking of wearing it and owning it. And I looked at it, and it was basically an illusion. It was basically costume jewelry, had a cubic zirconia in the center, wasn't real gold. And so what that also did for her was it gave her an opportunity to look even deeper into the illusion, that the symbolism of what the archetype of the father meant to her. And also here is this object that she ended up taking a boat and offering it to the sea as a way of culminating ritual of letting go of her illusions about that relationship. It was very powerful for her. I believe in that case, it was even best that ring wasn't a real diamond and wasn't real gold, because it was such a symbolic opportunity to have a tangible ritual that you can do. Sometimes, and I'll just keep telling stories, and if you have any questions, please feel free to break in, Kim. Ancestral connection. So what if we dream, maybe I dream about Aunt Mary's brooch, and it has in it a peridot, a green peridot, and it has some pearls, and it has amethyst in it. And it's, well, what is this brooch about? Why am I dreaming about this? What does this have to tell me? Well, sometimes ancestral information can come through in a variety of ways. But in this instance, it's kind of interesting to know that the suffragette movement, 100 years ago or so, the colors for the suffragette movement were green, white, and violet, which stood for give women votes. And the way that women signaled to each other back in those days that they believed in the suffragette movement or were members was by wearing jewelry, and brooches were very, very popular then, by wearing jewelry with those gemstones. So it could be peridot, could be demantoid garnet, which was a green garnet newly discovered in those days. It could be pearl, it could be opal, it could be emerald, and then many, many times it was amethyst. So if I dream of Aunt Mary's brooch, I don't know. Is it possible that Aunt Mary was a suffragette? Is it possible that she had that brooch? Or is it possible that there's some other message that's coming through when I dream of an object of jewelry that relates to a family member? Back in the Georgian and Victorian days, there was a real popular jewelry movement, you could say, and that's a long time. That's like, early 1800s, late 1700s, all the way through to the early 1900s. Acrostic jewelry. Acrostic jewelry is jewelry that had gemstones that would spell out a message. So, love would be the first letter of the name of the gemstone would spell out the message. And so you would have all kinds of jewelry that would typically have messages of devotion or love, and the alignment of the gems were the message. A lot of times those items of jewelry are really interesting, but they're not always particularly beautiful in my opinion, because the colors seem so odd, because it's more important, less important for the design and more important for the message. And so that's another interesting thing to look at. Do I dream of a particular piece of jewelry that has a bunch of gemstones in it, and what is there an acrostic message in that? Something to play with.
That's so interesting, Jane. Those are some really fascinating stories. And I love how you bring together, images of these things in dreams, but also that these pieces could exist here in our waking state.
Right. Yes. And a lot of times they can be items that bring us power. So a few years ago, I had a dream that I needed to make a Mexican fire opal and gold necklace. And and in the dream, it had a lot of power for me. And the purpose of it was to heal I had been in a fire as a teenager. It was part of my healing through time of that experience, a little bit of soul recovery work, as Robert Moss calls it. And I love his work with that so much. So I dreamed that I needed to make this Mexican fire opal necklace. And so I made it. And for me, in fact, I'm wearing it. I have it on right now. Let's see if I can show it to you. Can you see it? It's just a little, I wear it as a bracelet instead of a necklace. So when I wear that, what does it mean for me? It gives me power. When I put it on for special occasions. I put it on for today because here we are. I'm a little nervous about our talk today. It's like, I want to have more power. So I put on my necklace / bracelet, and it gives me a tangible, physical object that I can use to just give myself a little extra magic, Life is all about bringing in the magic where you can, and this is what I really feel about with gems and dreams. Another example, I woke up, I had a dream one morning, And in my dream, I'm at a trade show, a gem trade show, which I do attend in waking life. And on the periphery of this large convention hall was where all the seers were, all of the psychics and the seers and the magic people. And I come up to a woman who has a purple blanket spread out in front of her on the floor with all these magic objects. She kind of looks like me, long dark hair. And I say to her, I think it's time for a reading. And she looks at me and she says, I'll be very happy to help you with that. But first, you must bring me a sacred jewelry object. And I wake up. It's like, oh, I love this dream. It's magic. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with this dream, but this is a good one. In the morning, my first client came to see me, had a gold Buddha that she wanted to sell. And I ended up buying the gold Buddha. And I had an old bracelet that didn't have great memories. And I ended up selling my old bracelet and buying the gold Buddha. And so letting one piece of jewelry go so that I could acquire a sacred piece of jewelry. It's actually not a piece of jewelry. It's a little object. It's a little statue. And what does that represent to me? Well, in the morning, I'll say hi to my Buddha. It's on my altar. It's a little one. It's not real big. And I might, rub his belly. He's a Chinese Buddha with a nice belly, happy Buddha. And it gives me hope. It gives me hope. And sometimes maybe I would need a little extra hope. I'll go and talk to my Buddha. So it's a magic thing. It came through in the dream. And lo and behold, the next morning, the sacred jewelry object actually showed up. So many great stories.
Yes, Jane. Yeah, very cool. And thanks for sharing them with us. These are quite profound. And I see how these types of dreams and stories can carry us through, parts of our life, challenging parts of our lives, or, when we need that extra support or extra, like you say, power and help. Do you have any other examples of how dreams have changed your life and more? Yeah, I'm just looking for, these are such great stories. I'm asking, of course, for more examples of how, these dreams have changed your life in relation to this topic.
Thank you. I do have actually a whole bunch of them, so we'll see how much time we have. I want to share a story before I go into another personal story. I want to share a story of a client of mine. Sometimes the image of a sacred piece of jewelry can come through in a dream. And in this particular case, my client dreamed of her wedding ring sitting on her office desk, and it was broken. And she was really bothered by this dream. She called me and she says, does this mean my marriage is broken? Does this mean we're headed for divorce? What does this mean? And so we worked the dream together. And this is where working with a dream worker at times is going to be so helpful. So we worked with the dream, and really what it ended up, the takeaway for her was, and it turned out to be quite true, was that her new business was taking so much of her time that it was interrupting the flow of communication with her and her husband. And so because of the location of the ring in the dream on her work table, it had to have something to do with work. And so what they decided after working this dream was that they're going to spend more time together. They're not going to let the work take so much time away from their personal time together. And after having that dream, they sat down and made a conscious discussion about that topic. It provided a portal for them to enter into the topic, and it did change their life. It was a symbol for them that the marriage was not broken, but it needed a little bit more attention. An example of moving into, let me take a quick peek here and see if there's any other quick story about gems. And so working with gems in your dreams, jewelry designers, of course, many jewelry designers dream their designs. Information and practical information can come through in a dream. And that has to do with gems. And then, so confirmation of a decision. My decision to continue working as a gemologist, passion number 1, and as a dream worker, passion number 2. They're both equal passions. I might say I move a little more in the dream work direction as top passion. But I had a dream that said, just a dream voice that came through. It said dreams and gems as an idea for an office space for me to have, which I do have now. And another thing that can happen is we can have dreams for other people. So a close friend of mine had a health scare and a big surgery. And we talked a lot about it, shared about the experience coming up for him with this surgery. And it ended up thinking so much about this. I ended up incubating a dream for him. And I dreamed that I saw him in a giant crystal, like a quartz crystal, surrounded by all this beautiful light. And a dream voice came through and it said, everything is okay. He's going to be fine. And so there's an example of a crystal that came through in a dream and a magical feeling tone that came with that, which leads us to, and he, by the way, his surgery went great and he's perfectly fine. It's going to be perfectly fine. He is perfectly fine. So the dream was true. Also, when you think about the images, mystical images, the spiritual comes through in dreams. I mean, how many traditions have like, there's the Diamond Sutra, and there's all these images for gems, diamonds, as referring to spiritual truths and energy fields, etc. So if you have a dream that has like an aura with special light in it, or a special gem that brings you to a feeling of magic, then why not utilize that image and step back in there as a portal for yourself to re-enter your dream and go back in there and enter into that really magical place. So now I can answer your question. Thank you, Kim, about a dream that relates. I mean, many of these stories actually have in some way changed my life. They've certainly given me the awareness that I am surrounded by magic, as we all are. And all we have to do is be alert for the clues, and those clues will come through. And so I had a dream. Here's my example of a really big dream that really changed my life. I had a dream, voice came, said, go to Ancestry.com. It was a very insistent voice. And it was new. I was new to having a computer. I had never been to Ancestry.com. Anyway, I honored the dream because it was so insistent, and I went to Ancestry.com. And to shorten a very long story, I ended up meeting my father's first wife, who was the mother of my brother, one of my brothers, who I never knew, and didn't know it was important for me to connect with him. And because of that dream and because of going to Ancestry.com, I am now a member of a wonderful, beautiful family. I found my biggest brother, who I never knew, and it has changed my life. It's been really, really beautiful for me. And then kind of weaving it back to the world of gems, my great niece, his daughter's daughter, is 5, and she loves sparkly things. And of course, I'm sending her crystals and minerals and geodes and all these things. And she's become my little mini me in the world of gems and minerals. She loves all of these things. And she even sent me a little book that she drew with a drawing of a geode that I had sent her, that she cracked open and saw the crystals that formed over millions of years. And when you crack open a geode like that, your eyes are the first human eyes that have ever seen those crystals before, which she found very magical. So weaving it back from the dream about my ancestry, bringing it into the gift of having this beautiful family, having my little niece who's just so loves all these sparkly things. And the final piece on that story is that I was in Tucson for the gem and mineral shows, and I drove to Bisbee, Arizona, which was a copper mining town in the turn of the 19th century, where my great uncle was a doctor, worked there as the doctor for the copper mine. And I went there on a pilgrimage to honor him about, 117 years after his death, because I went to Ancestry.com and I learned all about him too. And now I have a mineral specimen from Bisbee, from the mines, on my altar. So it all weaves together, right?
It really does. Those are incredible stories, and dreams themselves are gems. I'm wondering, may I tell you about a dream where some gems just kind of popped up surprisingly?
Yes, please.
Well, and I'll just keep it to a short snippet, but it surprised me because I've had many dreams in water. And in this particular dream, it was a beautiful night. I mean, just perfect temperature, gorgeous. Just seemed like twinkling in the air, even though it was at night. And I entered this this pool, extremely clear, like crystal clear. It wasn't the deepest pool, but it was very large, and you could walk around and wade in it, and the temperature was just perfect. And I'm really enjoying myself in this dream. There's, just this beautiful kind of silence, and just really enjoying the experience itself. And then I walk over to the stairs. There's just a few stairs to get out of the pool, and I notice some shiny things. A friend comes to mind at the time who loves crystals and gems as much as I do. But there they are, and I look down, I'm like, oh, And at this point, I'd have to go back into my dream journal to see what else I did. But I remember some were clear, diamond-like. Others were a light blue, or even maybe a light purple. It could be because those are my favorite colors. But that's one dream that just, as you're talking, just popped out, and I wish I could remember the rest. So I'll go back into my dream journal and look. But I'd be curious to maybe do a dream reentry or some type of process where I can maybe understand a little more what those gems meant in that dream. So thanks for letting me share that with you.
Oh, absolutely. And I closed my eyes so that I could imagine my way into your dream. So thank you for sharing it. It's beautiful. So yeah, I love your action plan. I would do a dream reentry, go back inside that dream. And I love the portal of going through the water, having the water there. And for me, this is a healing dream. This is a place I can go to, and I'm always interested in a healing body of water, and having the conjunction of the body of water, this beautiful water, and these crystals, these beautiful colors that you love together in the dream. It's a beautiful portal. It is a place to return to in the imaginal. And also, if you can bring those colors through into your waking life. And I know that at times in my life, when I've had some health challenges, I had a thyroid situation last year, and I dreamed that I needed to have a green crystal, to work with a green crystal for healing for my thyroid situation. And so I'm wearing this. This is a green tourmaline. And I actually had already had this in my collection. I do make some jewelry, and I had made this piece. And I'm wearing it because the dream told me that I needed to wear it. And when I put it on, it reminds me, that's right, I'm giving my thyroid love, extra love. And it's like, yeah, let's just create this little magic field around that and invoke that. So I love your dream.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for listening to my dream snippet there. And I agree with you. When a dream tells us to do something, we do it. I've had dreams telling me to eat collard greens. I eat collard greens. So dreams are gems in themselves in so many ways, especially with health and healing. I'd like to ask you, just to shift gears a little bit, I'd like to ask you a different type of question, because I know you really like Fariba Bogzaran's poetic dream synthesis technique to just really help us mine the gems in our dreams. And can you tell us about that and your process?
I will. Thank you so much. I know that we have a lot of dreams in our lives, and busy people that we are, we don't have time to always review our dream journals, and we don't have time to log every dream we have. And so really a big part of my philosophy is to look for those dreams, those moments in the dreams, those magical moments, which I really call the jewels in the dream, the gems in the dream. So even if I'm not dreaming about gems, I know that my dreams are full of gems. And so Fariba's technique is so fabulous because it's one tool you can use to review your dream journal. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to review my dream journal. What do I do? What do I do with that? So, pardon me. This is a technique where you go through, first of all, you pick a topic. What's the intention of the poem I'm going to build? I'm going to build a new dream here. And I'm going to review my dream journals. I'm going to pick, say, 3 months worth of dreams. I'm going to go through my journal. So I'm going to read a poem that I did. And this one was my goal when I was feeling a little down. I wanted something that would make me laugh and feel delightful, feel happy. And so my goal was, okay, I want to see which phrases are going to pop up in my journal that are gem-like, that are going to give me that feeling of happiness. And you could have another intention. I want to seek an answer to this question. I want whatever your intention is. And so you go through your journal, highlight those phrases that pop up, type them up in the computer, print them out, cut them into little strips of paper, and then you shift them around and make a poem. And for me, that is such an easy way to be creative. And so I have a poem. Would you like to hear my poem that I did? That are snippets of a whole bunch of different dreams, all put together into a new dream.
Yes. What a cool process. I'll look into Fariba's process more deeply because this sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh,
pardon. Yeah, I'm glad you've gotten a lot out of this, and I'd love to hear your poem.
It's super fun. I love it. Okay, so this is called Sometimes I Dream Delights. In a busy city with twisting old passageways, I'm invited to a party by a famous woman director. In an elaborate house decorated in festive colors with cave walls and a white sandy floor. Pocketing my favorite gems and dressed in sparkly silks and gold, I'm at a table with friends, eating melon. I start laughing, a mouthful of fruit. So nice, laughing and giggling, that giddy, goofy feeling. Everyone is smiling at me, and I reach into a basket filled with warm bread and morning buns. In a bedroom, there is an animal hole in the floor. I slide down a long tunnel swiftly and enter a room of homemade desserts in a tier of 7 hats, each filled to the brim with sweets. Orange jello, tapioca pudding, 2 layers of pancakes, lemon or honey, a fruity layer, and sweet rice pudding flavored with rose, crowned by brightly colored cookies with applique layers and sparkles. Where's the chocolate? Ah, that's in another dream. I see Matthew McConaughey sitting at a table alone, while Brad Pitt waits. I kiss him abruptly, and we snuggle on the sand. What will I tell my husband? George Clooney. And the poem goes on, but that's a good idea of the joy that this poem brings me, and it's clearly a dream because I'm definitely not married to George Clooney.
Well, hearing it definitely brought me joy. That was really fun. Sounds like such a fun process, and I'm glad you've gotten a lot out of that. It's really, really cool when we learn from each other and borrow each other's dream processes and just keep taking our dreaming to the next level. It's been really cool having you here today, Jane. But before I let you go, though, can you share any final thoughts with us on dreams or gems or your process?
Well, I just want to say, may you mine the jewels and the gems within your dreams and also within your life, because they are there.
Excellent. Well, I know our listeners will want to find you. And is it correct if we go to yourdreamingself dreamworksummit.com. Is that a correct or best place to find you?
It is. Yep.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This was a lot of fun. And I wish you big dreams, sweet dreams, and just dream well tonight. Thanks so much for your time, Jane.
Thank you, Kim. Sweet dreams to you.
Thank you for joining us for the DreamWorks Summit, brought to you by the Shift Network. To learn more, visit thedreamworksummit.com. To join our global community of people awakening to their divine humanity and taking inspired action, visit theshiftnetwork.com. Thank you again for gathering with us and for sharing this healing path with your friends and family.